It was just another quiet night, until the garage door opened. Nobody should have been home, but someone was. I grabbed a bat and ran toward the intruders. I thought it was the end of my life, but help was coming. That night changed everything, and I'll never forget it. About 12 years ago, I was living in a modest 2-story house on the edge of Ankara. For most of my childhood, I shared a bedroom with my older sister. 2 single beds on opposite walls, a pair of dressers, and 2 small closets. We didn't even have enough space for a desk. It wasn't unbearable, but it wasn't comfortable either. When my sister left for university in Istanbul, I cleared out her bed and set up a desk in its place, with her blessing, of course. Finally, I could study without having to sit in the basement or sneak into my dad's office. That arrangement worked for nearly 2 years, until I myself moved away for college in Eskişehir. After graduating, my sister had already found a government job back in Ankara, so she returned to our family house. Not long after, I also got a position in the city and moved back home. But my old room was taken. The only space left for me was the upstairs guest room. It was barely half the size of my previous room, right next to my father's office, and perched above the garage. Every time the garage door opened, the entire floor would rumble. Still, it was private, and I made it my own. The incident happened one Friday night. I was home alone. My sister was in Konya attending a seminar, and my parents had gone to spend the weekend at our summer house in Beypazark. I'd had an exhausting day at work, so I stayed in, ordered food, and tried to relax with a book. Around 11:30 p.m., the silence of the house was shattered by the sound of the garage door rising. The floor trembled beneath me. My heart sank. Nobody from my family was supposed to be home. I rushed to the window, but the driveway was swallowed in darkness. I could only see that the garage door was wide open. Panic crept in. I rummaged through the closet and found an old baseball bat. As I crept downstairs, I tried to reassure myself. Maybe my parents had come back early. Maybe the door had malfunctioned. But then I heard voices. Low, hushed voices, coming from the direction of my parents' bedroom. 2 of them. Drawers opening. Things being tossed around. I dialed 911, whispered my address, and kept the line open. The operator told me to hide, to stay quiet. But something in me refused. It was as if an invisible force was pushing me forward. My house was being violated, and I couldn't just wait. I tightened my grip on the bat and moved toward the voices. As I reached my parents' bedroom, I could hear them rifling through drawers. My chest tightened, but I couldn't stop. I threw the door open, yelling at the top of my lungs. 2 men spun around, startled. They hadn't expected anyone to be home. One staggered back as I swung the bat at his leg. He collapsed with a cry. The second rushed me before I could strike again, tackling me to the ground. The bigger man wrenched the bat from my hands with ease. His hands clamped around my throat. I gasped for air, clawing at his arms. From the corner of my eye, I saw the first man crawling back, knife glinting in his hand. I thought it was the end. My lungs burned, my vision dimmed. Then, in the distance, faint sirens began to wail. Relief surged through me, before everything went black as the bat struck my head. I woke to a police officer shaking me gently. My head throbbed. The burglars had fled through the back door. The officer told me not to move in case of concussion, but I insisted I was fine. Paramedics checked me, and I refused the hospital. I gave the officers a full account of what happened. They searched the neighborhood, but the men were gone. Later, I called my parents and sister. They scolded me for confronting the intruders, and they were right. I could have been killed. The burglars were never caught. Police followed a few leads, but nothing came of it. My parents wasted no time installing a full security system, cameras, motion sensors, alarms, the works. But something kept nagging at me. All the doors had been locked. The only way to open the garage was through the button in my car. Whoever broke in knew exactly where to find it. I never used to lock my car in the driveway. Whoever did this knew my habits. They also knew my parents would be away and that my sister wasn't home. That knowledge chilled me more than the break-in itself. I don't live there anymore, but my dad still believes someone close to us was behind it. I can't say that night changed me forever, but I'll never forget the feeling of thinking my life was about to end. Life before and after you think you're going to die feels different. That night didn't just scare me, it left an imprint. Even now, I can close my eyes and feel that moment again. The silence, the panic, the certainty it was over. Nothing can truly replicate that feeling. It was the closest I've ever been to death, and it still haunts me. I don't know who was behind it, and maybe I never will. But I'll never forget how fragile life felt that night. Even years later, I can feel that fear if I close my eyes. Every creak in a house, every unexpected sound, triggers the memory. It's a reminder that life is fragile and unpredictable. That night taught me vigilance, and perhaps humility. I'll never forget that night. It was the closest I've been to losing everything. But it also made me appreciate every quiet moment, every safety I take for granted. Life goes on, but the memory remains, a silent guardian of my past. It's been about half a year since this happened, and I'm still shaken by how personal and deliberate it all felt. I had just moved back to my hometown to care for my elderly mother. I'd found a modest duplex that seemed perfect. My mom had been dealing with some health issues. I urged her to get a medical alert device, but she refused. That night, around 9 p.m., my phone rang. The caller ID showed a local number I didn't recognize. A woman introduced herself as a nurse from a nearby E. My mother had been brought in after a fall. I grabbed my keys, slammed the door shut, and rushed out. The entire ride, my heart pounded as I imagined the worst scenarios. At the ER, the nurse looked confused. There's no record of your mother. I stepped outside and called my mom. She answered groggy but fine. That's when it hit me. I'd been tricked. I raced home, furious. The door looked just as I left it. Inside, everything was trashed. My TV, laptop, and jewelry were gone. But what chilled me most? The family photos, the medicine bottles. All taken. Weeks went by with no answers. I can't shake the feeling someone out there still knows too much. I've installed a Ring camera, and if anything else happens, I'll be back with an update. I'm a single man in my early 30s, living alone in a small rental house for over a year now. It's nothing extravagant, but it's cozy, affordable, and feels like home. Everything felt normal until one Thursday night around 11, when an unexpected pounding shattered my routine. It wasn't polite knocking. It was violent pounding, like someone was trying to break the door down. I peered through the window, but the angle of the porch light left everything in shadow. Irritated but not scared, I opened the door while keeping the screen door latched. Standing there was a jittery man, slightly older than me, hair disheveled, clothes rumpled like he'd slept in them for days. Before I could even speak, he started yelling that this was his house and that I was trespassing. I tried explaining he had the wrong address, but he became more agitated and rattled off details about the house only someone who'd lived here could know. He wasn't guessing. He knew things you couldn't see from the street. My stomach turned as he kept talking. Then he pulled out a folder. Inside were papers, a lease agreement with his name, mail addressed here. Everything looked official. The worst part? He showed me photos, Him inside my home, sitting on my couch, cooking in the kitchen, even lying in my bedroom. One picture claimed to be from July 4th, a selfie taken at my kitchen table with fireworks nearby. It looked completely real. I began questioning my own memory. I told him I'd call the police to sort it out. Instantly, his demeanor changed. Calm. He said he'd wait outside. Then he vanished into the darkness. The police arrived, listened, and told me to contact the landlord about previous tenants. They said he was probably unstable, but their reassurances didn't explain the evidence. 2 weeks later, I came home to find my house completely ransacked. Not a normal burglary, like someone was searching for something. My landlord changed all the locks and added security, but nothing explains those photos or how that man had my keys. Friends say it might be something supernatural. I don't know. I just hope this is the end.